support of production and labor, then science and technology. Then after that, present post is National Consultative Affairs. Up to date. Election.
Wow.
So I don't want to hear the party around me.
They don't know about it.
This chairman wedu vachidiwa honorable Chipato mukuru wamadzimai tenda zvichairman vedu veprovince baba vachadzamira vapresident vedu Idi Munangagwa varemekedza gogo Jaricha tichitinakidza wese ZAKA kuti hakuna kuremekedza mhuri kwa Jaricha chete asi semhuri yeZAKA tinoona tapuwa ruremekedzo rukuru nemukuru wedu wenyika baba Munangagwa. Tinotenda semhuri yeZAKA semhuri kwa Jaricha masvika.
Ndakamirirawo madzisekuru angu ekwaMuleji kwakabvawo gamba rikauyawo musha medu. Ndakamirira vana vavo nevazukuru. Tinotenda ZAKA district makakoshesawo basa rakaitwa namai. Ini ndakavaona vachitanga kushanda kubva 1980 vakatisiya tiri vadiki vachienda kumakosi kumakoholi nanamai mahofa. Kubva ipapo basa ravo harina kuzomira kusvika musi wa4 July vachitsigirana nemusangano wavo. Takakura tichiziva kuti ndiro bato ramai vedu. Saka tinotenda motisvitsirawo kuna vachiduwa kuna vachadzamira kusvika kuna vaMunangagwa.
Nainotenga wa mai wangu digare ndichifara navo ndinavo nasi dai upenyu waitengawo ndaingotenga wa mai vangu ndigare ndinavo ndichifara ndinavo nakunditumbura pana pandotambura pandaichema ndovainikura ndovaikwanisa kundimirira kunondibatsira paye pandinochemera ndinongovona ndichichiva nasi zvingori zvekurevawo pandinovona vana vevamwe machidiwa namai vavo dai upenyu waitengwa nainotenga wa mai vangu ndigare ndichifara navo.
Thank you so much. At this point we just want to express our gratitude to all the people that showed us support. The funeral was very smooth. I didn't even travel to the funeral due to circumstances that we are all in, but the work was so easy, done by the people on the ground. My brothers and the Jaricha family as a whole, they came together to support. We vazukuru vavo they came to support. The churches, they came in numbers also to support. The people from ZANU-PF, ZAKA district and the province in general, they came to support. The people here in Canada, in Edmonton, in Calgary, where my sister lives, my friends of my brother Edmund and my sister Chipo, and my other sister in South Africa, Shuvai, and the people that we went to school with in our WhatsApp groups and so forth. They send donations in form of money, in cash and in kind. I won't even mention names, because if I mention names, I'm gonna leave some names out. But we value everyone who gave us support, from friends and family, church people. Our church is here in my church here in Edmonton. They gave me a lot of support, and words alone cannot be enough. But what we can say, we thank you so much to everyone. Your contributions will not go unnoticed or unrecognized. We recognize them, we treasure them, we value them. And people in Zimbabwe, my family, my friends, friends of my friends, friends of my brothers and my sisters, they all came together and they did a great work. The special mention of maybe my sister Shuvai. She's based in South Africa, but she was our point person on the ground, and she worked with my brothers there on the ground, and everything was made easy for us. I was just getting our good reports. The people came despite the limitations. People came, and that did not deter them to come and give their last respects to their hero. The people from Zambia, she was granted Liberation War heroine, and that's a great for the work that she did in developing women, training women in ZAKA district and in Masvingo province, to teaching them to be self-sufficient. And she was recognized for that kind of work that she did in our province. And the province felt that they lost their hero. So we thank everyone, and we're going to have a big celebration of your life when things settle down, and we'll make sure that we reach out to everyone. We're going to invite them so that they could come in their numbers to celebrate with us the life of my mother, Comrade Juliet Jaricha. Thank you.
Oh, my name is Chipo Chinake. I am the firstborn of Juliet Jaricha, the lady we are talking about, who just left us. So there's so many things. As the firstborn, I think I know her more than everybody else, because when I was born, everything was great. Before our father got sick, before everything. So I know that she was a woman of strength with so many talents. She could cook, that woman, when we were growing. Later on, when she was old, she barely went to the kitchen. Yeah, so I don't know what to say, because I've seen her 2 years ago, thinking that she was strong and going well, and all of a sudden we hear that she's departed. So I'm full of mixed feelings. Of course, I'm not okay about her dying, because I was looking forward to going home and seeing him, and I'm having problems imagining things, but I know it happened. It's not in my power to control things. Yeah, so she was funny too. She had a way of, I remember one time when I was doing work at home and I was walking slowly, and she told me, that step you are walking is a very bad step. So she went on to demonstrate someone with an agenda how I should walk. So we spent the whole week thinking, okay, let's walk like her. She doesn't even walk the way she was trying to describe for me to walk. Like if you cook and you mess up things, you will say, oh, I think it was the fire was too hot. She will always have these sarcastic comments like, a bad workman, they always blame their tools. So I think she was a wonderful role model, and she controlled herself so much. I don't remember her going off key to us when we were growing up. Later on with the boys were a little difficult to her than us. So to me, I think she lived her life fully. She managed to do a number of things. She was proud of being a teacher, being a mother, being whatever she was involved with, being in the church, and even being in ZANU-PF. She loved family, she loved her church, and she loved in most of the things she was involved with. She didn't like complaining. She didn't complain that much. And I thought she was a person who thinks really fast. Like, she didn't get stuck that much. Even when she was trying to help other people, she would see things through very fast and trying to help the situation and trying to calm everybody and trying to come out with a solution which could be stronger and helpful and just progressive. So I would say rest in peace. You were a wonderful mom. And I remember when I had my first kid, I think she went to Edgar's and bought the whole suitcase of clothes. She even bought night dresses for me to go to the Bains where I was giving birth to it. Mom, I have all these things I've prepared, and she was just trying to be a good mom, and I think she did a great job in making sure that we are responsible, we are kind, we're also helpful to our communities, we're great parents to our own kids, and a great wife to my husband, I guess, because of her influence. And like, she taught us to have answers to our own problems, because if you can't think of a solution, who do you think will care enough to provide solutions for you? So I would say, Mom, rest in peace, although I am not okay that you died like that. It didn't sink well with me, but things happen to everyone, so rest in peace.
I don't know if you can hear me. This was I don't know, my phone is bad. I was gonna play an audio of when I sent her money 2 weeks before she died, because it was my turn for June to send her money. We take turns every month, so she was sending me a voicemail. But yeah, that tumira mzukuru wangu Febia $20 on top marapera. Anyway, I have lots to say about Juliet Hildegardis Jaricha. Well, she was born a Shanghain woman, and her father used to own buses back in the 50s and 60s. And then I remember he got broke. I mean, these are stories I had. He got broke along the way, and I used to laugh at Mom. Oh, so you learned lesson from your father. And I know he took care of everybody. Then one day he was broke, and he used to laugh at Sekuru Buma, who used to live with us, saying, "Oh, Buma, don't worry about it. I throw a bus. I should go there." I should have Zambia, never bus. But anyway, I know our mom. I used to tell her, Mom, when you die, I'll say this at your funeral. That my mom used to love us, number 1, and the ZANU-PF, number 2. And then I say, yeah, the reason why I would never support ZANU-PF was you worked for it for a long time, and I don't see any results. And then I was a group of say, I'm Zuguru, Mupenyu, Kune Washandi, Kune Wari. Some people work, some people come in the office. And I remember when I started supporting MDC, Chagrai came, Kubagwedu, and I'm sorry, Mzuguru. Yeah, then my mom, the moment she saw Twagirai, oh, she ran like that from the house. Then I realized that, okay, I made a mistake. I realized that, okay, I made a mistake to do this. Anyway, and then she used to advise us and teaching us the importance of life, of honesty, of working hard. I remember when we went together last time in Zimbabwe 2014. I woke up one day, Sakura Pamba. Then my mom was like, you see, I used to tell you, come, Sakura post up. Then everyone will say, oh, because when she used to tell them, they say, hysteric. Now come and see what he did. He woke up 2 hours for Sakura was the whole place. So we learned lots of lessons from her. It was unfortunate she died that fast without being really sick at all. And we think it was God's plan. So it was unfortunate, but it is what it is. But we learned a lot. And Akaona Wasukuru was in Mzukuru B. Mzukuru B in Shona is like she great grandchild watched I don't know if she saw her, but pakata mwana wa mzukuru wao, which is a good thing. So I really have no complaints. And we couldn't go because of the situation in COVID. But I know when we'll go there, we'll make sure a resting place will look nice.
My name is Jaricha, the wife of Jaricha. The time that I've known my mother-in-law, she was just a great mother-in-law. From the time I joined the family, she welcomed me and told me that you are one of my daughters. So I was so comfortable around Mom. I never had any day whereby we were together. She complained anything about me or complained about any issue that has to do whereby, I've heard people saying mother-in-laws and daughter-in-laws, sometimes they don't get along well. Not with my mother-in-law. I truly miss her, and I'll miss her for the rest of my life, because every minute I was with her, I enjoyed it. She was very appreciative. Whatever that you would do, whether it's small thing, she would really appraise you and making sure that she would tell you more, and not only once, several times she would sing about it, that you've done this. And you'll be thinking, it's just small little thing that we've done, not much. She could give out so much. That's Mom. She could give out a lot. You would go there, everyone else in the village, you would find people home. She could not just live by herself. She was always around, surrounded by people. And one thing I've learned from Mom is that she was one kind of a woman who would not just stay with people that only her relatives. The last time I went there was actually an orphan who was staying there, and she was even sending her to school, using her own money, and she would even have some widows who would be there to come just eat food at her house. And they would leave sometimes 10 o'clock in the evening. That was Mom. And I remember when the last time I was asking about that girl, and I heard, Mom she was being married. Just imagine, she was there when she was a little girl to the point where she got married. This was her life. And she loved all her children. She would speak highly about her children, even her grandchildren. So I greatly appreciate Mom so much. There's one thing that touched me, Mom. I once said this, whereby we shared the bed together, home. I slept in the same bed with her and would talk, and until I did sleep. She made me feel really being a daughter to her, and she's a mom, and I'll always miss her a lot. I think that's what I can say about Mom. Thank you.
It's very hard to lose a parent when you live in the diaspora, and when you are far away from them and you don't know what they are going through. But at the same time, we very excited and happy to be talking about the legacy of our mother, Juliet Jaricha, from the way she raised us as a children and the lessons that we learned from her. So that gives us comfort. I believe, she ran a very good race. She finished it well. Her mission on earth was fulfilled. And when time to go, it was time to go. So me personally, as her son, I have no complaint. Because when I look back at her life and the way she lived and the way she raised me and my brothers and my sisters and the way there is the values that she instilled in our lives, I have no complaint at all. I'm very excited to be talking about her legacy. I remember from the early days when my father died, I was in high school writing my advanced level exams, and but since that day, she took control over the family, and we never lacked anything. So she was a woman of wisdom, and despite that, the work that she did in our district, in ZAKA district, being a woman advisor, she was advising women, training women at a training center called Makoholi, and these were our early days. We were still in primary school, but she was going to all these places, training women, helping women in the Ministry of Women Affairs and also the Women's League. At one time, she was the project coordinator for the Women's League all over the country. And she could travel. She could leave us with a nanny. She could travel all through the country, teaching women to do projects, to work using their own hands. So there is a lot of things that I learned from my mother in terms of hard work, in terms of resolve. She said to me, when you want to accomplish something, don't turn to the left, to the right, walk straight and accomplish what you want to accomplish. So she did a lot of extraordinary work in ZAKA district and in Masvingo province in general. Because when she was going to Harare, she was representing Masvingo province in the Ministry of Women Affairs. I remember these days during my Salim Mugabe times. And she also became a member of the ZANU-PF Central Committee, as well as a member appointed by the president in the National Consultative Assembly. So in general, her legacy will continue. We are not going to end here. We are not going to sit back and cry and say our mother is going to be with the Lord. We are going to carry on with her legacy. The legacy of looking after orphans, looking after widows, and doing good works and instilling good values to her children. So I'm proud. Of course, nobody wants their parent to die. Sometimes we believe that our parents will never die, and we hear so and so is died, so and so is died. So it's not easy. But when I heard about it, I did not start crying. I said, you know what? I thank God for the life she lived. I thank God for all the lessons of life. One thing she told me, she said, be very careful out there. These are lessons from a mother. She said, be careful out there. Kune vanhu vakangwara kunze uko vanoda kukohwa pavasina kurima. This is from my mother. And I never forgot these words. When she said, kune vanhu vanoda kukohwa pavasina kurima. And then I realized that as a child, it is my duty to make sure that my mother continues to live a good life as a son. And we are very happy. Our family, our mother was very happy with us. She lived a good life. We did whatever we did for her. So we cannot complain right now. We are very happy. So it was a roller coaster ride. It was beautiful. She was a friend. Every year I traveled home just to go and be with my mother so that she could pray for me. She taught us the values, the Christian values. I remember in our home, every evening we could read the Bible and preach to one another. So we were taking turns to preach. So we learned to preach the word at an early age in our home. So these are values that are special. These are values that are very, very important. And the work that she did, the support we got, even when she passed on, the support that we got was extraordinary. I got calls from people all over the world, people sending us support, a lot of support. It was overwhelming. So our mother fought a good fight of faith. She ran a good race, and she finished the race well.
My name is Jaricha, married to Mommy's second son. Second son, fourth born in the family. I just want to share a few stories about Mom. She was very loving, a loving mother. When I grew up, and when you hear people talk about the stories about mothers-in-laws and daughters-in-laws that are always at loggerheads, I never experienced that. We never experienced that. She was an extension of my own mother. I felt at home. It was never like, oh, I got married and went to a different family. No, it was indeed an extension of my own family. Yeah. I remember even every time that I went to ZAKA, I'll always go with someone. I went with my young sister and with my mother almost all of the time. And I remember my Mbuya, one of my grandmother's young sisters, saying, why would she be going there, like, meaning my mother? And my mom was like, what's wrong with that? Yeah, because to them, they are not used to seeing that kind of relationship between in-laws. And I remember every time we'll go there, there's this time that I went there, and it was the farming season. And Sekuru Vuma was like, oh, Sisi, she has to wake up and go to the fields. And my mother, my mom, my mother-in-law was like, no, she's not going to the fields. My daughter-in-law will not be going to the field. So you expect that as a daughter-in-law.
He was a character.
Yeah. You expect that as a daughter-in-law, when you get there, you have to wake up at 4 a.m. and start sweeping it. It was not like that. I'll wake up whatever time that I want to wake up, and Mom will not. I just say, oh, why are you up? Go back to sleep, or that kind of thing. It will be, you yourself will be like, you know what, I can't just be sleeping and doing nothing. Yeah. And she won't even be wanting us to spend the day at home. As soon as we wake up, she's like, oh, let's go. You start going.
That's for me. I didn't like the going. Oh, that's because Sekru Puma was very hardworking.
You will be everywhere. Yeah. Everywhere. And there was always people at home, people will be visiting. I remember this one time, I've never cooked chicken like that. That chicken is the most delicious chicken that I've never cooked. So I cooked chicken. I cooked, and then my mom's like, you know what, just put food for us and then we'll be eating together. So it was myself, Mom, and my father, my younger sister-in-law. And then her friend came, and then that's when we're dishing the food. So for us to sit there, we couldn't sit there anymore, and we couldn't even take the food out of because we put everything. So she started laughing that people were always there at home, and yeah. And okay, I'll end with this story. The last time I visited home, we went to Great Zimbabwe. And I got hurt, so I couldn't walk without crutches. So Mom was now using crutches, like, oh, you know what, I'm not going to go anywhere, so I'm going to stay in the car, you can take my crutches. So I took her crutches and we moved around Great Zimbabwe. So when we came back, because she was in the car, we'd left the windows open. Mom was, some monkeys had gone inside the car and were taking the food. So mom was trying to be fighting the monkeys. So when we got there, the monkeys were in the car and we chased them away. We all got into the car and unfortunately started sharing some of the food that we had, and the monkeys came and they started grabbing the food from the kids. It was so fun.
And those monkeys are very
Oh, really?
It was very funny. I will end with these words. When someone asks me how to describe my mom, my mother-in-law, I would say she really was a woman of integrity.
I mean,
She,
true.
she stood by her values. She
Yes.
wouldn't compromise anything, and she
Exactly.
wouldn't care who you are. And she had a space in her heart for all of her children,
Yes.
and all of us included.
Yeah.
If you, everyone right now, I'm sure everyone will think, oh, I was mom's favorite. I think I was mom's favorite, and everyone thinks they were mom's favorite because she really had
Exactly.
that space in her heart for
Yeah.
each and every one of us. She really was a force to be reckoned with. That she was, and even when you listen to people giving their testimonies about her, you can tell that she really was that sounding board for everyone, the voice of reason that everyone will go to and say, you know, I have this issue, I have this problem, and then she'll be able to shed an answer for everything. And for me, I'm really grateful to God for having given me an opportunity to meet with her, to know her, and in all things we will praise God in all things. That thank you for the mom that you gave us, and thank you for all the lessons that we learned from her. It's only now reflecting back when I like, oh my goodness, I wasted all the time that she was here. I should have even be bugging her each and every day because she was really full of knowledge and wisdom. So now our pillar, she really was the pillar for everyone. So our pillar is gone, but we do thank God for her life. Thank you.
Ndinofanira nemukana wekutaura kurangarira amai Juliet Jaricha vanga vari amai vangu nekuda kwomudzimai wangu. Saka ndiri mukwasha waNzira Edmund nechikwata chechi kwaJaricha. Ndindakarora dangwe ravo chipo. I started knowing her in 1991 when I came to the funeral of their father. I was still a young man that time, in my 20s. But she gave me a very good impression, calmness, and receiving me before I was even married. That time, I stayed at the home. They showed me Gwara Baba Jaricha at that time, we had just passed, and he had also seen me a year before, only once. But when they introduced that I was boyfriend to their daughter, even though I was not married, I was so welcome that I could stay there and I could be shown around to show that if I was a decent person, I was so welcome in the family. And so I happened to get married in 1992, and instead of having one reception, wedding reception, which I was going to have in Mbuya, she offered to have another reception for us at her house in ZAKA. And it was a big event. Drums of beer were prepared. And at that time, one man ainzi shauda, and it was a great event for us. Such a thing would be done for us at home. And she told me that I don't want you to even pay a cent of this wedding. I am hosting it myself. And she did everything at her cost. And at the end of that wedding, she handed us $10,000 in cash. And my father was there. If he was still alive, he could have witnessed this. She said, and that's how generous she was at that time to us. From that year, I never forgot how she visited us in 1 year after I think my second kid, or it was the first one, I can't remember, but she visited all the way from ZAKA. She came to Mbuya when I was at school where I was teaching,
And we stayed with her, I think, for a whole week. And the reason why I was asking for Pilsner is because when she came there, we had to go and buy a few Pilsner bottles just to, you know, to spend the night talking and sharing. And there was no fuss. She wasn't, you know, all that fuss about things, and we doing things the way we could do them. And but boy, but she made me so comfortable. And that's how kudzikama kwanga wakaita. If I could say in today's language, kuti vanga vasina dzungu, havaitira zvinhu dzungu, kuti zvingadai zvoitwa nenzira yakati, zvingadai zvoitwa nenzira yakati, but she saw what worked and we went that way. I'm only glad because when my kids grew up, because we left Zimbabwe 20 years ago, and we're here. I happened to have had 2 kids when I came here, but in the end I have now 4 kids. 2 of them I'd never seen here. And we always think like, how are we going to do this? We need to go back home before, and just let their grandmothers see them, because now there's only grandmothers. So in 2019 we managed to go back, and we spent a week in ZAKA. She was so excited to see them. They brought their gifts, and she told us that, you see what happens now, if my grandkids were closer, I would be receiving all these gifts every time, you know. And she was so excited. And then she even took time to talk to me personally, just to let me sit there and ask me questions. And I was just thinking like, oh my goodness, look at what happens when you stay away for a long time. But you know, it was such a time, it's a time that I remember now, that if I had not gone home that time, how would I be feeling right now? About a person who has been so welcoming to us, has been so welcoming to me, and who has taken that time to be a mother to me in reality. But my children were also happy that they saw their grandmother and that they managed to do something for her. And they were happy to see what she has done to build the home. She took time to build a huge jura wall around her home, which means she cared about that home. And even though we are so far away, she wanted us to come back home and see that, in her own words, that I was not wasting the money that you sent me. That's what she said, that you see all this jura wall, I did it for you guys, so that when you come here, you could see that the money that you are sending here, we are using it properly. And all the houses were properly painted, all pink, you know. There was goats there, pigs, chicken and stuff like that. And I even got my ginfowl, and I was so excited. So that's how it was for me. And then only to come back here 2 years, and they departed. So to me, it looked like she was only waiting for that minute, for that time, just to see these people who have not been coming home for a long time, and then she would depart. That is in my mind. I don't think that's how it happened for them there, but it would seem like that I got a chance one more time. I got a chance to see her before she left. So I have pictures in my home, on my wall. I put a picture, her frame, to see that my children will see her, I will see her, and remind ourselves of where we have come from.
That's good.
Yeah, if there's any resemblance in my children, they can see that, oh, they got this from them, and they will remember them. Unfortunately or fortunately, my mother also happened to have died within the same week as her, and they were friends. And at one time when my wife went back home, my mother asked to go to be with her. That's how they loved each other. And they even asked each other to go and visit another mother-in-law who was my brother's mother-in-law. Yeah. So that's what they did. So they did that in ZAKA. Exactly. So I had make sure that I put all these portraits side by side. They were both born in 1942 and they both died in 2021. Whether it's coincidence, whether it's divine appointment, but that's what happened. And I'm really grateful to be part of this family and to have known her in my life. And I hope my children will have the same appreciation as I have for her.
But for me, Baba wakafa when I was in Form 1. So usually, because Zimbabwe back then, but you can Baba wakafa, life here usually no change. Because Baba ndana wa shanda most of the time. But this year nothing changed, and namusanda kadzimba kuchikoro kunzama ndinobhadhara fees kumission kwandaidza kusenda ndonzi. Not even one day tatochena kuti tonererwa papa sinando nachofunga kuti amene tinowana dzimwe mhene or something. So our life was pretty good growing up. I remember vachinditi vanangu maroora Alex panga aroora achiti vanangu maroora mose, that's good, mochizochengeta vana isisi venyu shovai because ndivo vananga vasina munhu wavo mochivachengetawo, so that way murambe makabatana. Izvo chinhu chachakakosha for kuti vana vavo varambe vari together because vanoziva kukosha kwefamily. And I remember anasekuru vangu futi anasekuru Regis Rwegore vauya kuzokwereta sisi wavo mari. Sekuru Regis was brother to my mom na Sekuru Agostine. Sikavakwereta mari yabosi vaida akomana. Then 6 months later vadzoka manje vakuda kukwereta kwekati iye wasi kuti akambokupa imwe ndabva taenda kutombwadoro aida asingamwangu at the time taenda kufomera takumbwadoro shasha dzasodzoka kupa aida sisi uri mbuya utano mani iwewe ini ndiri veti ndiri sekuru ako ini ame veti uyu munun'una wangu is a headmaster ndiya wasi kana muri maheadmaster mogokupera mari kwandiri indawa vavanirafa komana yavo pareri mai vaivatukirira vazovapa mari hatadzi dzavo hatadzanga dzina musoro adzi asi vaivasapota in everything they did. Namai Myron tells kuti ndo munun'una wangu mai venyu, saka right now we know kuti mai vashayika but ivo mai Myron variko, saka in some part chinawo mai.
My name is Priska Madramuse. Mbuya, my child was my auntie.
No, disappoint.
And no, she was not just an auntie to me, she was also my mom's best friend.
Yeah.
She was the most generous person anybody can ever meet. As was previously said, she would just take care of strangers. Like when you, every time you go to her house, you would find strangers over there because that's how generous she was. She was so loving and she was very smart. I know, and she was very calm. Even no matter how intense a situation is, she had this really calmness, so much that even if you have a problem, you'll just go and talk to her. You'll just go and consult her. Like you'll be so much in a panic mood and she just go like, oh my God, I can't believe this is going like this. And she'll calm you down. And by the time you finish, you would feel like, oh, well, it really doesn't matter. She had this way of making so big things so small, so that people, like, you don't get stressed over situations. And she was so bubbly. She had this loud laugh that could fill the house. So like every time like I would go to her home or she comes to our homes, oh my God, it was the best time ever because it will be a happy place. Like it feels like whenever she's around, it would feel like you're at a party. Like not a party with many people, but just no matter how many people you are, like even if you are 2, 3 people, 4 people, it doesn't matter. It will be a happy moment. She was so loving. She, like I said, very smart. And any problem, if you don't know how to fix any problem, you just go to her and say, hey, I don't know how to deal with this. And she would have this, she would come up with this very smart way of fixing whatever you're struggling with. So yeah, I definitely miss her, and I was looking forward to going home. And like you said, she would cook, and even though now she was no longer going to the kitchen, but still when you go there will be food in the kitchen. So I will miss like going home and just finding food and mangoes. I know the last time I went home, I just called her. I said, hey Andy, I'm here, I'm coming over. And she was like, okay, what do you need? I said, okay, mangoes. She said, and then I found like 4 kind of mangoes, like the drums, and she goes, okay, this is all you need. I'm like, oh, she said, okay, there's chicken for you. There's like, just name it. And it was, yeah, that's how loving she was. And oh my God, I will really miss her. And rest in peace, Andy. I'll miss you.
She was my grandmother's best friend, and I think time I was still young, and my grandfather had passed on. I was living with my grandmother. She would always show up, and every time she showed up at our place, I could tell that my grandmother, it was a relief, like, for her to have a best friend around who would support her and show up, and you know, like old girls, they would meet up. Vanga my projects avaita shamwari dzakanaka. Yeah, the good person that she was, she supported a lot of people. She got a lot of people projects around the ZAKA. Growing up, that's the Kuranda College. She got a lot of students under the Presidential Scholarship Fund, going to Fort University in South Africa. So that's the good person that she was. Around the they knew her. Everyone who needed help, whether under the party card, then I would say personally they would go to her house and they would get the help that they needed. Yeah, so personally, it was a shock because when COVID came, it was just statistics. We never thought that it would get like personal, would be personally affected. So yeah, it was a shock to hear the news that she passed away from COVID. And I remember when I graduated, she actually got me a job within the government. And as humble as she was, I got to meet some of her associates. I got to meet some of the most influential people who she interacted with. And even though they were like powerful people, and she was even more senior than them in the party and in the structures of ZANU-PF, she would always refer to them as children, like mwana wangu. She would never like assert her authority to make them feel like belittled or anything. That's who she was. And I think what I'm gonna miss the most about her is giving heart. And from the time when I was young, she would always, whenever she would come to visit my granny, she would always bring us presents. Whether it was little ZANU-PF shirts or... yeah, you know, it was always a joy to see her coming to visit and for us to visit the house. And she'll be dearly missed.
For me, I have to say, Mbuya Jaricha was my grandma's best friend. So to me, she was also my grandma because she was always so welcoming to us. Whenever I would go and visit, especially when I went to visit Zimbabwe in 2014, she welcomed us into her place, and she was very kind to us. So she's someone who would dearly miss because of her kindness. And I knew that every time I would go to Zimbabwe, she was someone who was always there to welcome us. So I knew that if I were to go visit my grandma, I have to go and visit Mbuya Jaricha because she was just so welcoming, and she was someone who knew me from since I was born. Yeah. So I'm very saddened to hear that she is gone, and I would dearly miss her. Like I say, she was someone who I knew that if I were to go to Zimbabwe, would be there so that I can go and visit, and she will receive us with open arms. And as everyone was saying, she was someone who was very welcoming to everyone. So losing someone who's so kind, who helps that many people is always very sad. So I would just want to celebrate her life, and we hope that that same kindness can wrap up on all of us. So.
There you go.
Thanks.
If you want some sugar, I got some sugar there.
All right. Thanks a lot. Yeah. So, Mr. Jaricha, tell me, I know that losing a parent is something very difficult in life. So, what brings you comfort whenever you think about your mom?
You know what comforts me is the dream that I had, or I call it a vision. As soon as she passed, it was like a dream, and I had gone back home. And when I got inside our homestead, I saw a beautiful house that appeared like a mansion with purple and gold and all these bright colors. And I was saying, when did mom build this mansion?
Wow.
When did she do this? And I wanted to reach to my phone so that I could take a video of the mansion and I could see her in a garden, working in a garden with beautiful flowers. So when I tried to reach my phone so that I could take the video and send people in Canada and say, hey, look at what my mother has built. That's when I woke up.
Wow.
And then a little voice said to me, while she was working here on earth, doing all these good works, looking after widows, after orphans, she was building this mansion for herself in paradise.
Wow.
And I realized, I said, it is important to do good works.
Exactly.
James 1, I'll read this verse for you. James 1 verse 27, it says, religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after orphans and the widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world.
Wow.
So when I look at the work, when I had that vision, it gave me peace, because I was rest assured that she was now in a better place.
Exactly.
And all the works that she did during her time here on earth, she was building treasure in heaven. Treasure in heaven. That is safe and secure. So when I saw that, it gave me peace. And now it's up to me to see what I can do also to do the same that she did. So these are the lessons that I've learned from my mother. She was a woman of works. People testify about her. I left Zimbabwe 20 years ago. So the other things that she did, I don't even know. But other people are telling me that,
right.
Oh, she was like this, she was like that, she was like that. That comforts me.
Wow.